within the creative text. So criticism is a branch of knowledge creation in which a person, a philosopher, a writer of course sometimes, or some person who has studied the original text, he undertakes to study the text and gives his critical remarks or helps in elucidation of that text to the readers. So I'm talking about two traditions which simultaneously exist together. One tradition is creativity, you write an original text. Another is criticism, which tries to understand those texts, which try to evaluate those texts, and which try to, you know, make an assessment of such texts. Now, if creativity has been a very ancient activity, it means people have written, people have made paintings, people have composed music, people have made statues since the arrival of humanity. Criticism is also quite old, old form. And within Western scholarship, we usually try to understand the beginning of criticism with the rise of certain Greek philosophers and critics. Within Greek philosophy and studies, there has been a very rich tradition of criticism. There is a long, fellowship of teachers and students there. We trace this tradition from Socrates. Socrates कहते हैं हिंदी के अंदर. You must have heard his name. Socrates, who was given a cup of poison because he did not agree with the state he was living in. And I'm talking about 4th century BC in Greece. I'm talking about 4th century BC, Greece. There, Socrates was a philosopher, and he had a long line of students. One of his students was particularly very famous. He was called Plato. So Aristotle was the teacher, and Plato was his student. And as Socrates was the teacher and Plato was his student, Socrates was very distinguished philosopher, and he has a unique method of teaching students. He used to move, he used to walk, and his students used to run after him, and he used to discuss things with them. So after Socrates was incarcerated and he died by drinking a cup of poison, Plato wrote his memoirs. Plato wrote whatever Socrates taught him, and he produced many books. So we understand there was Socrates, who was a great philosopher. He had a student under him whose name was Plato, and the works of Socrates come to us through the compositions of Plato. Okay, let us move further. Now, Plato also had a very famous student whose name was Aristotle, whose texts we will study in this section. Plato and Aristotle, they are quite famous pair. They had their differences, they had their disagreements in certain ways, but their importance to the contribution of English critical studies is unfathomable. They both produced, great forms of knowledge, and Aristotle particularly is very famous in producing and writing about so many branches of knowledge. So we have got a typical tradition here. Socrates was there. He had a very famous distinguished student called Plato. Plato had another famous student whose name was Aristotle. And by the way, Aristotle also had a very famous student whose name was Alexander the Great. Sikandar Mahan कहते हैं इसको. Although Alexander the Great was not famous as a philosopher and as a critic of ideas, but rather as a warrior. And when did this happen? It happened in Greece of nearly 4th and 3rd century BC. Okay, so this is the basic information about the tradition of criticism in Greece. When we study criticism, we usually begin with texts of Aristotle because Aristotle wrote a very small and very famous text called Poetics. Now, Poetics is in your syllabus, and this Poetics, a small text over the art of tragedy or art of drama writing, it contained so many valuable insights that, in a way, it is considered a classic. And many modern critical studies begin with an evaluation of this text called Poetics. Right? नेहा आप अपना पीछे से माइक ऑफ कीजिए नेहा पीछे से आवाज आ रही है right okay so we have got poetics which is produced by Aristotle and this poetic contained ideas of Aristotle about the nature of poetry and particularly the nature of dramatic poetry right okay. Now the thing is we cannot understand poetics without understanding the ideas of Plato. We cannot understand Aristotle's understanding of dramatic art without referring to the ideas and influence of his teacher, Plato. So it is customary to study Plato and Aristotle together to understand certain conceptions which are contained in poetics, particularly the concept of imitation. So my presentation here is about where Aristotle and Plato they come together and where they differ from each other in their conception of dramatic art, poetry, imitation. Right? So that's why I have given the topic of this presentation as Plato and or Aristotle, images of imitation, images of imitation and reality. Okay? Let's now go further. So we have three great Greek philosophers. One is Socrates. Okay, I should minimize it somewhere. One is Socrates, who was born in either 470 BC or 469 BC and died in 399 BC. So let us say this is image of Socrates. We have a student of Socrates called Plato, who was born in 428 BC and died in 348 or 47 BC. Then we have his student Aristotle, who was born in around 384 and died in 322 BC. Right? So we have these three famous philosophers who are interconnected, and to understand one, we must go and understand the whole tradition. Okay. Now this is a very famous story about death of Socrates. That he died by drinking a cup of poison, and this painting shows Socrates sitting in the middle, right? And his finger is upside. And we can also see there is a cup of poison which his student is offering him. And there are his students sitting dejectedly and sorrowful around him. And Socrates does not seem to mind his death, his imminent death. Rather, he is more concerned about the ideas which he used to discuss with his students. So this is very famous painting which was made in 1787 by Jacques Louis David, and it shows the popular myth about the death of Socrates and the famous tragedy which took place there. Now let us try to understand his student Plato. Plato was born in 428 and died in 348 BC. He was born in Athens, Greece. He established the academy in Athens in 387. This academy, equivalent to modern universities, was the first innovative idea wherein critical thinking and independent inquiry was supposed to flourish. So it became a kind of prototype of modern universities. wherein the teacher used to discuss his ideas with his students and used to question his students, and students used to answer him. And then again, it led to further questionings and answerings, and such kind of sessions took place within this academy so as to gather knowledge and so as to further critical inquiry on students. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were three most famous philosophers of ancient Greece. 35 dialogues and 30 letters of Plato are available. So Plato was a prolific writer. He had written 35 dialogues, which the discussions which took place between his teacher Socrates and his students, and he has also published 30 letters. The most famous of Plato's works are Apologia, Crito, Phaedro, Republic, Symposium, Critias, Laws. Now this Republic, it's a very small booklet. Republic is also very famous because this book contains the idea of Socrates, which came through Plato to us, and this text also contains the kind of ideal society which Plato or Socrates imagined, and what kind of society it is, how it is useful to us in our understanding of Plato and Aristotle is that this book, Republic, had a very famous passage in which Plato banishes the poets from Republic. Republic is a kind of ideal state. And Plato says that poets, means dramatic poets, are not welcome there. He says dramatic poets are very harmful for, for the society. And so these poets should be thrown away from an ideal society. They should be banished from the society. And when we shall discuss, poetics and other ideas, we shall come back to why Plato banished poets, why he considered poets as non-essential for his ideal state, what harm poets could do. And we will also see how Aristotle does not fully agree with this idea of his teacher, and how he negates, how he resists the idea of Plato that poets are harmful for an ideal state. So we will discuss it in detail later on. But you must remember the name of this book, Republic, which was written by Plato. At the same time, you must keep in mind that Plato attributes most of these ideas to his teacher Socrates. He doesn't say, I'm saying this thing. He says, Socrates said this thing in a way. So these are ideas of Socrates filtered through Plato, which come to us. So this equation you must keep in mind. So there was School of Athens, and yes, now we see two people, right? One is who is pointing his finger upwards, another is who is pointing his hand towards down. Now the person who is pointing his finger upwards is Plato, and the person who is insisting on keeping things downright is Aristotle. This is a very famous imagery again because it talks about difference in the ideas of Plato and Aristotle. प्लेटो इज सिग्नलिंग अपवर्ड्स, उसकी उंगली देखिए आप, ऊपर की ओर उठी हुई है प्लेटो की, जो आपके जो राइट के अंदर है, जिसकी हाथ ऊपर की ओर उठा हुआ है, प्लेटो ऊपर की ओर इशारा कर रहा है। इसके साथ जो चल रहा है वो अरिस्टोटल है, एंड ही इज पॉइंटिंग डाउनवर्ड्स। नाउ दिस जेस्चर इज वेरी मीनिंगफुल because Plato only talks about ideal things, ideal reality. Aristotle, on the other hand, is talking about the down-to-earth nature of things, the real reality, the physical reality, as you can understand it now. तो प्लेटो जो ऊपर की ओर इशारा कर रहा है वो आदर्श की बात, आइडियल्स की बात। अरिस्टोटल जो जमीन की तरफ इशारा कर रहा है वो जमीनी सच्चाई, जैसी चीजें होती हैं, जो फिजिकल रियलिटी है, उसकी बात। We will see how these two different understanding of reality differentiate Aristotle with Plato, and it also in a way points out duality of reality, that reality has two aspects, one is upside, another is downside, right? So when we study poetics, in the very beginning of this book, it's a very small book containing only 26 chapters. In the very beginning of this book, there is a concept of imitation. What is imitation? Imitation means copy. Imitation means copy. वो वाली कॉपी नहीं है जो आप लोग क्लास में करते हैं, वो कॉपी नहीं है, चीटिंग नहीं है. Imitation stands for how things are constructed, how things are made. Imitation is the basic, primary principle of every dramatic art according to Aristotle. Imitation is at the heart of every dramatic art, चाहे वो poetry है, चाहे पेंटिंग है, चाहे वो म्यूजिक है, चाहे वो मूर्ति बनाने की कला है, स्कल्पचर है. हर ड्रामेटिक आर्ट के हार्ट पर, सेंटर पर इमिटेशन, चीजें इमिटेट की जाती हैं, राइट. इमिटेशन किस चीज का? Imitation of reality ka, in one sense, imitation of ideal forms in another sense. So Plato discusses this idea of imitation in Ion and Republic. Republic के अंदर इस idea के बारे में काफी discussion है, book 10 के अंदर particularly. What is this idea of imitation, and what and how many kinds of imitation is there, and how imitation is used in different kind of arts. In Ion, Plato considers poetry as art of divine madness. Thus, the poet does not speak truth. Plato says poetry is a divine madness. Poetry is a disturbed state of mind. Poetry is an unusual activity of mind. Poetry is irrational. And he further qualifies his statement by saying that a poet does not speak truth. Because this is not a normal condition, poetry is abnormal, so poet does not speak truth. Because poetry is a representation of an irrational state of mind, so poets cannot be supposed to speak truth. So there is something inherent in the art of poetry which precludes, understanding of poetry as a rational thing. Right? Okay. I shall stop here because something is not okay here.